The quiet station orbiting the pale blue moon drifted through the silence of deep space like an old lantern waiting for someone to reignite its flame. Inside its halls, a diplomatic meeting of great importance was about to begin. It carried this tension of two species trying to end a long chain of misunderstandings. Humans and the Lyrans had stood on opposite sides for decades. Though neither side wished for war, fear and rumor had kept them apart for too long. Now everything depended on a single agreement proposed by the Lyoran Council and reluctantly considered by the Human Alliance. That agreement involved a symbolic marriage between chosen representatives. And that was the part that Myra hated. Mira stood at the edge of the long metallic corridor, her hands held firmly behind her. She wore the formal Navy uniform of the Alliance, but she looked nothing like someone who wanted to step inside a meeting about her own future. She had trained as a mediator, not a bride. She had traveled across sectors to ease conflicts, not bind her life to someone she had never met. She believed in peace, but she did not believe in arranged unity through traditions she did not understand. When she learned she had been chosen, her heart had dropped like a stone into deep water. Behind her, the glass panels showed a broad field of stars and quiet drifting dust, yet even the beauty of the cosmos could not calm her thoughts. She kept telling herself she would refuse. She would stand firm. The Alliance could not force her to do something she did not agree with. She had come only because she respected her commanding officer, who had asked her to hear the proposal before rejecting it. But she already knew what she would say. She would not take part in this ancient custom. A soft hum echoed behind her as the doors slid open. Commander Holt stepped inside. He was older than most officers at the station, calm and steady, his gray hair neatly tied back. His presence usually made Mira relax. "Not today. You are expected in the chamber," he said in a gentle tone. "I am not agreeing to this," Myra said. "I know," he replied, "and you are not required to. But the council wishes for a proper meeting. At least listen before making your final decision." Myra sighed. "I will listen." But that is all. She followed him down the wide corridor. The silver floor reflected the lights overhead, giving the station an almost ceremonial glow. Mira wondered if the Lyrans had requested that. They were known for their love of symbolic displays. When they reached the tall chamber gates, Mira inhaled and stepped inside. The chamber was round, vast, and glimmering with polished metal. A central platform rose like an island in the middle, where the chosen representatives were meant to meet. Around it stood the Lyoran delegation in their pale layered robes. Their skin shimmered faintly with a natural radiance, like starlight resting on water. Their eyes were oval and deep in color, shifting between shades when light touched them. Though graceful, they were intimidating in their stillness. At the center of the Lyoran group stood Princess Lyra, the one chosen to complete the symbolic union. She held herself with a balance of strength and calm. Her hair fell in bright strands behind her shoulders, and her expression carried the weight of 1,000 traditions. Mira had read about her. She was known among her people as a leader of empathy and logic, born into one of the most respected families. She had already refused 3 political matches. Now she had accepted this one to end the tension between their species. Myra did not know what to think of that. She did not know why someone would accept such a role so easily. All eyes turned toward Mira as she stepped onto the platform. She took a steady breath and prepared to speak. She wanted to settle this quickly and respectfully. Once she refused, they could focus on more reasonable agreements. Then the room shifted. Princess Lyra took one step forward. She stopped. Her eyes widened. Her expression changed into something soft, startled, almost breathless. The entire hall watched in silence as the princess stared at Myra as if seeing a phenomenon she had not expected. Something in her posture bent slightly, not in weakness, but in recognition. She lifted her hand instinctively, then slowly lowered it again, as if unsure whether she had the right to reach out. Mira froze. She had expected formal greetings, scripted. Words, perhaps tension. She had not expected this. The Leoran advisor beside the princess glanced at her in confusion. "Princess, is something wrong?" he asked. Princess Lyra shook her head. Her gaze never left Myra. "No," she said softly. "Nothing is wrong. This is unexpected, but not wrong." Her voice carried a sound like distant wind across crystal. Myra stood still, unable to understand the shift that had taken place. She finally managed to speak. "Is there something you wish to say?" she asked in a controlled tone. Princess Lyra stepped closer. "I studied the human appearance through records," she said. "I understood the form, but I did not understand the presence. I did not expect a human to hold such clarity in their stance." Mira blinked. "Clarity. Yes," the princess said. "A strength without aggression. A sense of direction without pride. Your posture carries calm purpose. It is rare among my own people. I have trained to read the intent of others since childhood. I see no deception in you, no hidden desire for advantage. Only commitment to truth." Myra was taken aback. No one had described her like that before. The princess lowered her gaze for a brief moment before raising it again. "I believe this. Meeting would be a duty. I expected to stand before someone who did not wish to be here. But now that I see you, something within me shifts. I cannot explain it in your language with complete accuracy. But if my people believe in signs, this is one." The hall whispered among itself. Even the human diplomats seemed unsure how to react. Myra felt the weight of every eye. She did not like being the center of attention. Yet she could not deny she was drawn to the sincerity in the princess's voice. There was no manipulation, only honesty. She swallowed. "Princess Lyra, I came here prepared to refuse. Not because I dislike your people, but because I do not believe unity should be built through forced tradition." The princess nodded. "I agree." Myra paused. "You agree?" "Yes," the princess said. "A union should not be forced. It should not be used as a tool. It should be a path chosen by both. If one heart resists, the agreement becomes hollow." Myra felt her resolve falter. "Then why are we here?" she asked quietly. The princess approached until they stood only a few steps apart. She lifted her hand slightly, not touching, only inviting. Mira sensed the gesture asked for openness. "Rather than surrender, we are here," the princess said, "because our peoples fear each other. They fear war. They fear misunderstanding. They fear loss. A symbolic union would reassure them. But reassurance built on unwillingness weakens the foundation. If you do not choose it, I will not request it." Mira felt warmth in her chest at the gentle conviction of those words. "And yet," the princess added softly, "when I look at you, I no longer see a political symbol. I see a person whose presence pulls my thoughts into calm focus. I see someone who could stand beside me not because they must, but because they understand the weight of responsibility." Myra's breath caught. The princess stepped back slightly, offering room rather than pressure. "If you refuse," she said, "I will stand with you and support your decision before both councils. But before you choose, I ask only one thing. Speak with me, not as representatives, not as symbols, only as Myra and Lyra. Let us understand whether this connection is real or only the echo of first impressions." Myra looked into the princess's steady gaze. There was no demand, only truth. She gave a small nod. The chamber was dismissed so the two could speak privately. They walked to a quiet observation room overlooking the ring of the moon. Stars drifted across the window, while soft lights glowed around them. Myra felt her nerves calming as they sat opposite each other. Princess Lyra spoke first. "I want to understand why you resisted this idea." Myra exhaled slowly. "Because I believe connection should grow, not be assigned. Because I spent my life shaping my own path. Because I feared losing myself in a tradition I did not choose." "That fear is valid," the princess said. "I have refused matches for similar reasons. I too wished for choice. My acceptance of this one was not because I wanted it. It was because I believed my people needed hope." "And now," Myra asked. "Now," the princess said, "I see a different reason to consider the union. Not for our people, for us." Myra felt her heart beat faster. They spoke for hours. They asked each other about their worlds, their work, their values. Myra found the princess thoughtful, intelligent, curious, and deeply respectful. Lyra asked questions that showed she listened with full attention. Myra discovered common ground. She had not expected Dot at one point. Lyra looked down, then up again with a softness that made Myra's breath hitch. "When I first saw you," she said, "I felt something shift within me. It was like recognizing a tone I had been searching for without knowing." Myra felt warmth rise along her neck. "I felt something too," she admitted. They fell silent. As the view shifted from starlight to the glowing edge of the moon, the princess rose and approached Myra. She offered her hand, open and gentle. "You do not need to decide today," she said, "but I wish to know if you feel a path forming between us. Not because of duty, because of resonance." Myra looked at the offered hand. She had arrived ready to refuse everything. Now she felt pulled toward something she had not expected. She reached out and placed